Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live session with Dr. Pillai. We're so grateful and honored that he has decided to join us one more time for this very special time period for our ancestors. We have a couple questions for him that you've sent in through your survey, so thank you again for participating in this. But initially, Dr. Pillai wanted to come and speak to us about the practical ways in which our ancestors influence many areas of our life, specifically the area of health, finances, intelligence, and smartness. Dr. Pillai, thank you for being here, and we would love to hear how this, oops, here we go. There. We'd love to hear your input here.
So one of the intriguing questions for everyone, whether you are a religious person or a scientist who doesn't believe in religion, or anyone, for that matter, who is a human being, is intrigued by one question. Why is it that someone is born in Bill Gates's family, who has been the richest man of the world for 16 times, and why somebody is born in Africa and then doesn't even have water to drink and then die? So congenitally, you see there is some inequality. So that questions all our democratic, socialistic systems, for which you don't have, all of them cannot answer this question, why there is congenital inequality. There is only one answer to this, and that is soul genetics, which I just coined the term and introduced it a decade ago, which is repackaging and contemporizing the ancient concept of Tarpanam. So you are not in control of your intelligence, of your prosperity, of your relationship. All these are linked to what is called soul genetics. Just as you inherit biogenetics, and you inherit also the soul. And the soul meaning here, the problems of the souls or the merits of the souls. You inherit both. So when you inherit the merit of the soul, then you are born in Bill Gates's family, his children were directly connected to him. And he himself was connected to his ancestors. So his success is not simply his own doing. His ancestors' blessings, incredible blessings to get to that level. So to answer your question, how is it that intelligence is transferred? It is genetically, biogenetically transferred, that is science. But what is religion saying? Now you have to go and ask the fundamental question about the soul. For instance, your heart pumps, and who is making that to happen? The soul. The soul is responsible for your life. And if the soul leaves the body is dead. And the body even is very despicable to look at when the soul leaves the body. But unfortunately, people don't even care for the soul. And they don't want to answer the question, who is pumping the blood? Who is making this heart to pulsate? And who is making you to breathe? Okay. So all these questions are related to the soul. So you have to fix the soul. This is where the the uniqueness of this Indian tradition of Tarpanam works in a practical sense. Now, you and your ancestors are connected at the soul level. Your thoughts or his thoughts or her thoughts, because it works for both the ancestors of the mother and father lineage. So you are connected. So whatever they think, you think also. Whatever you think, they think also. Although they are now not in the physical body, they are solely connected. And this is a great science. And not only science, but a practical wisdom that I have tested on so many people. In many previous recordings, I have explained that even scientists have been proved by people who, the priests who are able to see the ancestors coming and talking to the priest, because ordinarily people don't have the ability to see the spirits. And one time there was a Michael Jackson's, somebody wanted to do a Tarpanam for Michael Jackson. And he went, and then it was on the newspaper in India. And how his soul was talking to this priest, some details, I don't want to go into that. And that was proof. But anyway, so that you can fix it. So your problems are attributed to your forefathers, are on both the mother and father's side for several generations. They say usually 21 generations. So there is a way to answer the most difficult question of how can I fix my relationship, my finance, my intelligence. All this can be fixed through this ancient technology called Ancestor Tarpanam, offering the food. And then earlier on, I had talked about the substances that are offered to the spirits have the ability to communicate with them. They have special nuclear energy. At some point of time, and I want to do some scientific research on that. So what's the next question?
The next question is, you've told us that the ancestors come on the new moon. So what is the significance of the new moon? Why do they come on this day every month? And what's special about the Mahalaya, this particular new moon coming up this week?
Now the moon affects the human body and the mind also. This is science too. When it is full moon, you know that people who are mentally disturbed, they are connected by the souls. So they behave, quite hard. Their illness, shows up dramatically during the time of the full moon. And during the new moon, the opposite happens. The mind becomes so quiet, not agitated. And the lunacy is very important, because they somehow knew know that the moon is connected to our mind and the brain and the entire body itself, because the body is 3/4 water, and then the moon responds. The water and the moon have a special connection. If you go to the ocean, you can see the water on a new moon. Full moon is uptide water. So that's the science part of it. So the moon and the soul, the mind, the brain, the body, they are all connected. So if you miss this is a good question. If you miss this Mahalaya period for whatever reason, it's not, you can catch up during the next full moon. So every full moon, you have the opportunity for connecting with
right? New moon.
the ancestors. So that's why I encourage people that you have to do at least the simple Tarpanam that you can yourself do, just do it in your bathroom. Or if you want an expert to do it, then you can do that too, okay? So new moon is the time that your soul can connect with the ancestor's soul, or to go by what the tradition says, they come down to your house and knock the door, okay? They are asking for food, and if you give them food, especially this particular food, and then they are happy. And then they are not only happy, their consciousness changes. And then it is a technology to change the consciousness of your ancestors who are suffering in another plane. And by making them happy, then you also impact your own consciousness, your own destiny, your own demerits that are causing a lot of physical problems. So this is why, to answer your question, why the new moon?
Mm-hmm. Wonderful, thank you. Another question we get a lot is, who can we do the ancestor ritual for? So we know that it's direct ancestors, parents, grandparents. We know it's relatives, children that have passed on. But some people ask about friends, associates, things of that nature. And in the past, you said that's maybe not the best, but we want to hear about who specifically can we do these rituals for?
Generally speaking, you can do it to anyone, but and the response will be better if you do or to your relatives. A non-relative, or you can do to a non-relative too, okay? Because today I'm going to do the Tarpanam, I'm going to do it for Einstein. Just to say some anecdotal thing that I have been working on him for some time. And so it's very interesting that he needs to kind of go to another plane, because before his death, he said, don't put me on artificial breathing or anything. If I'm, fall down, which he did, just take me to the hospital. If I die, don't help me. And prior to that, he said something very interesting. Oh my God, I know a lot of secrets about the universe. Gee, I don't have enough mathematical background to put this together in an equation. So what it meant was, he would die, and then he would be born as a mathematician and a physicist, so that he could accomplish what he could not accomplish in that lifetime. And he's a great brain. He's a great brain, you know. And so I'm going to do something to facilitate, you know, so that if he's not still born, then he'll be able to do better. So anyway, I will figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do it for anyone. It's better to do it to your relatives because the response is good, and also karmically it is right. But you can do it to anyone. As I said, it's called Karunya Tarpanam. Karunya means you are very compassionate towards some friend of yours or an acquaintance of yours who died and then you wanted to help his or her soul to go through, then you can do that. But there's some karma involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Another question we get is, how do we know when the ancestor has reached that Pitruloka, the higher plane? Because that's where they can bless us the most. We talked about the last webinar. Once they become exalted ancestors, the Pitrus, then we get intense blessings. You said those are closer to God. How do we know if we have any of those? And how do we continue to help our other ancestors get to that higher level?
Maybe you should watch your bank balance. if it miraculously you're able to get a contract or something, or somebody gives the money,
Mm-hmm.
and then and you want to account for it. It did not happen for a long time or all through your life, and suddenly something changes, and then how do you account? And because you have been very regular in doing Tarpanam, and then that's the easiest way of knowing. If you want an evidence, then they may appear in your dream, because I've been during this time I'm seeing my mother coming. They usually come in a dream during this time. Or there are specialists who can see that. Some of them work for Astroved. I trust the chief guy the priest, and who is directly in contact with them. But then it's such an ordeal for the priest to monitor everybody. But he can do that. To my knowledge, he is one of the very few people who can do that. He will be able to see and talk to the ancestor. But the most important thing is that is not important. We are not interested in scientific evidence. We are interested in whether or not there is impact in our personal lives. That is how you see it works.
Absolutely, which is what you said earlier, which is, how do we know this practical application of health, relationships, smartness, is we'll see it in our life.
So you can concentrate on relationship. It's easy to do that because you completely go on. It's not that you need to do it only on New Moon Day. And I ask people who have been studying with me, do it every day. Do it every day. You are doing it every day, don't you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
And then we also have what I also do is the daily Tarpanam that we have in Pillai Center, so that we have someone doing it always, and then I do it at home. So getting the experts involved. And last time you talked more specifically about how having one of these particular priests be able to help our ancestors in a more significant way than we can, because they have the practice, because they have the lineage that actually allows them to speak to them. So
they have the ability, they have the I don't know, some kind of powers they
Mhm.
have acquired in their previous lifetimes. They came back to this earth plane to do this service for humanity. And then they have this ability to talk to the spirits of the ancestors.
Yes, exactly. One last question, Dr. Pillai. People often ask us about how do we know if they have curses from their ancestors and how do we remove them? Is it the same process as Tarpanam?
Um, it is different. Although Tarpanam can fix it, the curses have to be removed by directly focusing on the person who may have put the curse on you. And then it is difficult to directly deal with the soul that cursed you. That soul is still going to carry on. And for that, you can do other prayers to gods and goddesses, to intervene on your behalf. Mm. And they will go and fix the problem. I just remember Sri Sai Baba was one day in a park, and he was like a beggar. He used to beg. Actually, it's not a beggar. He was literally a beggar. Not that he could not get the money. He can himself create money and do a lot of miracles, but he would only beg and eat the food that he gathered through begging. One day he was in a park. There was a devotee of him who was born as a frog. And then there was a guy, the frog, the devotee, when he died, Shirdi Sai Baba, you should always protect me when I am being hurt by another person or life-threatening things happen, you should help me. So when this snake came and the snake was trying to swallow the frog, and it was in a park, and then the Siddhi Baba ran to that place and then addressed both the snake and the frog. They were enemies in their lifetimes. The snake was John and the frog was Peter. John, leave Peter alone. People were wondering, what's that? What is he talking about? There are only snake and the frog. But he knew. Mm. So the enmity continues life after life after life. So that for removing curses, there are other things that you can do. I think, I'm sure that Astroved does something for curse.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And maybe you can do a program for us one day on protection and psychic defense.
We'll see. I'm too tight now. I cannot promise, because I've done that before, so you could use my old material.
Okay. Yeah. Dr. Pillai, we have these events that occur. So Ganesha's birthday, and then Mahalaya. So Ganesha's the starting everything, and then Mahalaya for the ancestors. Next we have Navaratri. After that, there's Skanda Shashti. is there a sequence that happens in which they happen in this particular order as we like move from Mahalaya in a few days on to, Navratri coming up next month and then Skanda Shasti the month after?
Well, again, these are specific time periods where we come into contact with specific forms of energy. The ancestors' energy now during the Mahalaya. A month ago, it was Ganesha's birthday. And then next comes the goddesses getting into this earth plane, particularly to kill negativity in general. And then bless you with prosperity and courage and intelligence. These are the three major themes: intelligence, prosperity, and courage. That will be the 9 days of the goddess. And then again, the 6 days of Muruga, who, I'm going to do both programs, I've been inspired to do that. See, my way of presenting things, I have come here to do it in a different way, just not as a religion, because I just want to myself understand things better in a scientific way, because science is very precise. And people can relate to it. When I talk about soul genetics, which nobody does. Oh, yeah, right. There is soul, it is passed on, and then I want to know about why somebody is born in Bill Gates' family and somebody in a slum. All these things can be answered scientifically. So anyway, the sequence are representing the time periods in which these gods and goddesses descend into the earth plane to help human beings, because they know that the human beings have limited intelligence and then they need help, and then the gods are infinitely merciful, and they are out there to help human beings to solve their problems. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pillai. I know you have to go now. We very much appreciate your presence. Namaste. All right, everyone. So as Dr. Pillai leaves, I'll just take a couple more questions on the chat. So go ahead and post any questions you may have. So some of you are asking about what's left for the Mahalaya packages and what you can purchase. So if you go to the Mahalaya page, which is at the bottom of the video that you're looking at, there's only two packages left, and the one is for the new moon and the one is the 13th moon and the new moon. As Dr. Pillai talked about, the new moon is the most important time of the entire month for us to be connecting, because we have more of a connection with them. So this is why the new moon is so significant. So if you haven't had a chance to enroll in any of the Mahalaya packages, now you can for the 13th moon, and the new moon is still left. And I think that's for a very short period of time, because the 13th moon is coming up any day now. And so those will be removed probably, I think, by tomorrow. So then the new moon is left. And this is the day to make sure you're performing this food offering, or this Tarpanam, as Dr. Pillai calls it. So you don't want to miss it at home. Just like Dr. Pillai said, you have to do it every day. So do it every day. I do it every day. I also enroll in the daily Tarpanam program. It's just something that I factor into my budget and make sure happens. So after this period, after this new moon, it really is waiting till next year to take hold and be able to access these ancestors for such a long period of time. We are being so blessed that we've had this 15 days, and now we're coming towards the end of it. So if you haven't yet started your practice, start it now and continuing it beyond this period. Because as Dr. Pillai said, the ancestors are influencing us in so many ways in which sometimes we're not even aware of, that can be shifted. We want to make sure we're doing the most we absolutely can to be transforming our lives, because we want to have pleasure. We want to have good relationships. We want to have abundance in finances. We want to have joy and peace of mind. And our ancestors are the key to helping us achieve that. So important for us to really recognize and do all that we possibly can in this soul level for acknowledging and helping our ancestors so that they can help us. So now I'll take some questions on the page. Let's see, what do we have so far? I'll go to any questions. All right. Yes, women can do Tarpanam. So some people are asking about that. Here's a couple questions. How do I obtain the blessings of the ancestors and create a quality life? Do Tarpanam. Have the experts do it yourself. Will they alleviate our karma until the next generation? So if you do Tarpanam now, you are helping these ancestors who've come before you, who are deceased, elevate into what's called Pitru Loka, which is the ancestor heavenly realm. And that will help your offspring. So now that you have ancestors who are ascended, who are exalted, that's going to help everyone in your lineage. So you're not helping just yourself, you're helping all of your offspring too that come after you. So that's why it's so potent. It's just it's good for everyone. It's good for you, good for your offspring, it's good for your ancestors. And everyone gets into a higher state of mind. Everyone is benefited. Here's a question about someone having a parent or a grandparent, someone in their family who was not pleasant, like they weren't nice to them, or they had problems, kind of drinking problems, abusive problems. The issue here is that person who's passed on, who had those problems, it's not going away. It's not going away because they passed on, because they left their body. Their soul still agitated. Their soul may be still wanting to fulfill more on the addiction or the abusive behavior. This is why it's so important, if you have anyone in your life who is disruptive in that way, who maybe it feels unpleasant, like I don't even want anything to do with that person, they hurt me, I don't want to help you. That's not the right approach in order to help yourself, because that soul is still there, still in unrest. He or she is going to continue to impact you. You must help them get to peace if you want to get to peace. Okay, so this is why it's so important. Even if they've hurt you, you have to just do this ritual or pay for someone to do this ritual for them and allow that to heal them, that then heals you. If you have someone who has died tragically, who had addiction problems, like a strong karma, this is where individual Mahatarpanam comes in. This is where the priest is honing in on that one ancestor and helping that one. This is where Dr. Pillai talks about like them connecting and speaking to them. These specialist priests are able to connect with that particular being, hear or see them, and help them move on. If you had someone, suicide, accidental death, anything that was just tragic in life or the way they died, this is the perfect opportunity for individual Mahatarpanam. That means individual great or immense Tarpanam, which is the food offering. So they just priest one-on-one with your one particular ancestor or relatives to help them move on. I've done this several times. Did it for my grandmother, I did it for my father. I've done it for a cousin. So this is how we get that one particular soul to unravel a lot of their karmic baggage for this lifetime that helps them get to a higher place. Once they get to that higher place, then they're able to bless us more abundantly. So we really want that. How many ancestors are there trapped, are still here on the earth plane and they haven't left? You know, I don't know how many there are, but last webinar, Dr. Pillai talked about millions of lifetimes and millions of ancestors. So we're talking about a large number of ancestors. How many have moved on? How many are still stuck? Again, going back to what he said earlier today, which is look at your life. Like, is your life like really working out? Is your bank balance acceptable? Is your relationships healthy? Your body is healthy? If not, then you probably have an inundation of ancestors who need some more help. We're never done. Let's get this. The numbers are so huge. We're never done. This is why I do daily Tarpanam on my own, as well as with the experts. I just make sure they do it, because if I forget one day or I'm not doing it one day, at least it's getting done. It's constant. We have all these ancestors. We'll never get through them all in one lifetime. So just do the best you possibly can and just do as much as you possibly can. We're learning so much, I think, in this particular year about how impactful these ancestors are and how much we really have to do if we're looking for a life of abundance and love and joy that we really want to help get fulfilled in this lifetime. So yeah, you're never done. Just keep going, keep doing it. They do come down. So there's a question here from Margaret. So the ancestors are here. They do not only come down at this time. They come more closely to the earth plane during this 15-day period. That's why this 15 days out of all the times of the entire year is the most significant for us to be doing them. And then this new moon inside of this 15 days is the most significant full moon of the whole year. So this is why we really don't want to miss this opportunity. So making sure that you're putting in your daily practice for Mahalaya, making sure you're ordering maybe one of the services or even the year long, like I do, to help unravel the connection between the negative impact of some of the ancestors and then heighten their experience into the higher realms so that their blessings will come down to us. That's what this is all about. Yes, this is 100% ideal time for Tarpanam. Question, I'm an inventor. How do I get my ancestor to motivate me to be more productive in getting my products to market? So one of the things Dr. Pillai said recently, which is you don't even have to pray to them. They already know. Once you get once you help bring some of your ancestors into an exalted state, that's the peek throughs, the exalted ancestors, they will help you. They will automatically help you. You will automatically see miracles and breakthroughs happening in your life. This is like an invisible shield that we don't always know or see, but we see results happening, right? So, and then Dr. Pillai said, your ancestor may come to in your dreams. You can ask them then, but he said it's not necessary to pray because they already know, but you can still pray. You can still ask for some help. But in order for them to really have the nourishment and fulfillment that they need, that is what the offering is for. That is what this food offering is for. The Tarpanam is for. You want to be doing this continually. And then this invisible shield in which they're over there and you're over here, you'll start seeing their blessings come through in the form of thoughts, better thoughts, significant shifts in your life, miracles that may happen, and then actual tangible results. Like maybe you have a better idea for an invention, or maybe you're able to get your product to market, or maybe you see an inheritance come through, right? There's so many ways in which the ancestors can be blessing us and having a physical result, a tangible result happen in our life. This is what we want to look out for. This is what we want them to be doing for us. See questions on our viewing page over here. How can we do Tarpanam at home every day? So there's, Pillai Center is going to be sending out a video on the new moon, full instructions, but we also have instructions on many videos that you can do. So you want to get the substances that Dr. Pillai mentioned on the last webcast. Rice can be ground up, it can be whole, just plain rice. It can be cooked, it can be raw. Black sesame seeds, darba grass if you have it, don't worry about it if you don't have it, and a coin. He also mentioned tulsi. If you don't have tulsi, that's also fine. Those are the substances you need. Sprinkle some water, make your prayer and your offering, and then with water, wash that out. You can put it in the outside in your yard. You can put it in running water, dispose of it in nature in some way. And do this every single day. So Dr. Pillai accidentally said full moon when he was saying, he was talking about the new moon. So the new moon is what he was mentioning. And yes, the new moon is included in this essential Mahalaya package that is still on the sales page. There's only 2 packages left. There's the essential and the enhanced. The essential is just the new moon. The enhanced is the new moon and the 13th moon. So those are the only 2 packages left. You can do individual. I think Karpasamy individual homas are still up there. You can do the Maha Tarpanam, the individual Maha Tarpanam, which I definitely recommend. And then you can do the year long. So those are the options so far. And if you do the year long, it's okay. You start it now, it's going to go all the way through next year, all the way through Mahalaya. So you're not losing anything even by signing up for the full year long now. You'll get the rest over the next 365 days. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Any last questions that we haven't already answered? Yeah, the time of day, anytime during the day, light, not at night. Do we take our ancestors' karma when we're doing Tarpanam? No, you're actually relieving them of karma. What Dr. Pillai said was, if you do Tarpanam for someone who's not your relative, it may not be as effective and you may take their karma. So it's a choice that's yours and you just want to be careful about that. And if you feel someone is in need of help, you can do it, but just remember, there could be some karmic exchange there if they're a non-relative. If they're a relative, you're not taking their karma, you're actually helping them relieve themselves of their karma and ascend into a higher plane. Can use other seeds? No, don't use any other random seed. You can use black sesame seeds. If you do not have black sesame seeds, you can use regular sesame seed, and then that's it. Yes, you should do it daily. Between daylight hours, yes. I do not, there's a question, are we tied to our ex-spouse's ancestors after divorce if no children produced from the marriage? I do not believe so, because you've severed that relationship and hopefully it's separate by now. All right, so any other questions? Yes, you can. So both male and females can do this. You can do this. So I know there's tradition that if you our parents are alive, then you shouldn't do it. But Dr. Pillai does not subscribe to that methodology. He says that anyone can do it. Yes, there is a demo video, and if you just go to our YouTube channel and go to our Facebook, we post these things regularly. If you do not have sesame seeds at all, then just use the rice. Use what you can get. Yeah, if someone can post the demo on YouTube, that'd be great. We definitely have that available. Can we eat before Tarpanam? Yes. Can you put the Tarpanam into the garbage? Yes, you can. You watch the new moon Tarpanam. No, we do not air any of the video. We don't have videos because it's done at this, they're done in locations where cameras aren't allowed. I've actually been there. It's amazing, but you have to leave your camera in the car. There's no cameras allowed in this whole area. I've been there during new moon on Mahalaya. It's wild. There's so many people there down in the water. There's this big river. It's in Kerala, and there's all these steps, and you go, and like everyone's doing Tarpanam with a priest, and it's just a crazy time because there's so much movement and so much going on, and you're definitely not there with a camera. So no, we don't air it. We don't bring a crew. That's just a sacred place. And you can't even have a camera there. You can't even take a picture of that location. So I don't even have pictures of my own, just before and afters kind of performing it. It's really amazing. My first experience of going to that particular location where this Tarpanam is performed. I don't have visions usually. I don't really have like psychic ability or visions or things like that. But I was waiting for the priest to come. You have to check your stuff into a little changing room because you're going to get wet. And I was waiting for the priest, and I had this vision of like a field and like fallen warriors of like men in a field dead or dying. And I was like, whoa. And the sun was rising, and it was this like really serene location. And I was like, whoa. And then I'm like, oh, like my last name is Guerreri. It means warrior. We come from a warrior clan in Italy where there was the whole idea, the lineage was that they were the warriors who protected the kingdom. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got a lot of these guys, who are wanting to cross over. And it just really struck me like that I get to be there for that situation. I got to be there for that. It was Mahalaya new moon. It was super powerful and intense. And I felt really honored that they came and gave me a vision, and then I could make extra prayers for these fallen soldiers, these fallen warriors who are doing their duty. And hopefully they're getting relieved and now blessing me and my family and having a more glorious experience in the afterlife. So our ancestors can come in so many forms, a lot of addiction, that people get stuck in that world of generation after generation, abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, gambling. There's just so many ways in which we get stuck, and our soul gets influenced by these ancestors that are bringing us into a repetition of thought processes, a repetition of experiences that we want to break. You have the opportunity to break ancestral curses, break ancestral habits and karma right now, right here, during this session, during this Mahalaya. Just imagine I think it's over 4,000, it's around 4,100 people who make up 12 generations of your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-great-grandparents, 4,000 of them in 12 generations, just your direct lineage. Imagine if you can help any one of them to relieve whatever they've experienced on earth and help them get into an exalted state, get them into a state of light and elevation so that they have relief of their pain. Relief of their pain means relief of your pain. When they're in pain and suffering and continuing a karmic thought, yes, your soul is that soul is continuing to think. That is influencing you. That is what's giving you low intelligence or high intelligence, giving you a low bank balance or a high bank balance, good health or poor health, healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships. All of this is being dictated by our ancestors. And we learned last time from Dr. Pillai, even our ability to worship and worship God is coming from the blessings of our ancestors. Everything we're doing has blessings from our ancestors. And if there's suffering, we're experiencing the suffering. And if there's greatness, we're experiencing that greatness. But a lot of times we're experiencing the suffering. That's why you cannot miss this period of time if you are serious about self-development. We've given you the tools. We've given you all the tools. We're doing a 15-day live free sessions on the viewing page, which hopefully is below this video, or maybe you're watching it right now. every single day at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Sucharita, one of the Pillai Center master teachers, is going to be giving you a guided ritual on how to do Tarpanam. And she'll talk a little bit more about each of the moon phases, just significant information. So you want to join that if you haven't already. And get the link below the video if you're watching this on YouTube. This will help you. We've given you the tools. We've given you all the tools. Join those live sessions, learn how to do it, or watch the replay. There's I think 10 or so that have been done already. So watch the replays of those, and then order any of the Tarpanam services if it's in your price range. This will help you get both sides, doing it at home as well as having it be done for you by an expert. So that's my recommendation. So that should answer basically all or most of your questions, because the Tarpanam is the answer to helping integrate what the ancestors are doing for us in a positive way. And if it's in a negative way, in terms of if they're suffering, it helps to relieve their suffering and let them become an elevated or even exalted ancestor to bless us immensely with abundant blessings. And that can translate into your bank balance, relationships, your peace of mind. If someone has mental illness, that is passed on as well. Ancestors are influencing us all the time. Do your Tarpanam, make the most of this Mahalaya. Do not miss it. This is the once a year intensive, most powerful time of the year for ancestor blessings. Please take advantage of it. We've given you all the tools you possibly need, and we hope that you and your ancestors go in peace. Namaste.